Hey everybody, welcome back. I promise this is the last episode in this. It's been, I think, 5. I've done 5 episodes now from sitting here cutting my coconut husk. It's been fun. Came up with many ideas and just got them all down, getting ready for, Mother's Day weekend and all that stuff when I don't have time to film. Anyway, welcome back. Glad to have you. And probably going to offend some boomers, so if you are a boomer in my audience, hear me out before you take offense, okay? My dad's a boomer. I'm going to preface this whole thing by saying my dad's also a boomer, so hang in there. But we're going to talk about how feminists are the new boomers. Welcome back. So not all boomers are the same, okay? My dad's a boomer, but he is much more greatest generation in his mentality. He always worked hard to make sure that there was going to be a future for myself and my brother and provide and do everything that was right, okay? And that's very much a greatest generation shtick. They wanted a better future for their children and their grandchildren, so on and so forth. And then the boomers came along. The rest of the boomers. Like I said, there's exceptions to the rule, but this is what the boomers are known for, and it's why we have all of the millennials there for a minute. We're going, yeah, okay, boomer. Boomers are the most selfish generation. It is a generation marked by their children being the latchkey kids. They had to be reminded to make sure that their children were home after dark. They came up with the prosperity gospel. Thanks, guys. They distorted Christianity so badly with that one. They care about keeping up with the Joneses. It's an entire generation marked with selfishness. Absolute selfishness. So if you go back, and I'm going to start on a governmental level and then continue down. If you go back and look, it used to be that as new generations came in, the older people would retire so that the current generation who had more of a tap on what's actually happening in modern day is being represented in Congress. Until the boomers. The boomers have held the majority in Congress forever, for decades, absolute decades. Gen X never actually had a majority in Congress. Pause for a second and think about how wild that is. Think about how wild it is that the oldest living generation is still in control. They're so disconnected from reality, because if you talk to boomers and explain the struggles that we're having with the economy, they just tell you to pull yourself up by your bootstraps, right? Well, to an extent, there's some truth to that. There are some places where people could work a little bit harder and maybe better their position a bit. But boomers won't get out of the big family homes either. It used to be that people would downsize. You raise your family, all your kids leave the house, and you go downsize into a smaller home in a more moderate neighborhood, or into a retirement community kind of neighborhood. And that would free up the large family homes. Yeah, boomers don't do that because they're selfish, because they don't care about future generations. They care about their money that's in the stock market. They care about all their fancy crap and flaunting it. That is the mark of that generation. They're also the generation that I fight with more than anything on feminism online, which is hilarious if you think about it, because most of the boomers actually stayed home to raise their children. The women did. They were provided for by a husband who went to work every day, who they ended up taking half their crap from when they divorced them later after the kids were raised. They raised an entire generation telling them that they needed to reject that privilege and to go and be better. They were the generation of the sexual revolution, which has just made society a cesspool. And you can tell that the boomers took what was already sick and destructive in the feminist movement and amped it to level 8 million. Because the feminists have the exact same attitude as the boomers. They don't care about society at large. They don't care about anything other than themselves. They will murder their children in utero for their own selfish ends. If that's not the most boomer shit I have ever heard in my life. They don't care if society crumbles. They don't care if people lose their rights, so long as they get their rights. They don't care that men actually have less rights in society than they do. They are still screeching about the boogeyman patriarchy as if it freaking exists while we live in matriarchal hell. And they just want more and more and more and more, just like these boomers. Why do you think they're all still sitting in Congress? They want more and more and more and more and more. That's all they ever want. And that's the exact same mentality that has been passed to the feminists. It's the only two groups that really behave that way. And I don't know why it took me so long to have that realization, but I was arguing with a feminist online and it just clicked. I was like, this is like arguing with a boomer on the economy and on how to get ahead. Fruitless, disappointing, and so selfish. Like not a care in the world about society, the well-being of anyone else. It's just me all the time. Feminists are the new boomers. They will destroy society at large to get what they personally want. And it's not even what's actually best for them. But they won't realize that until they're too far gone. And then most of the time the ego kicks in and they just can't own up to it. It's kind of I talked a few episodes ago about the girl who had the debate with Rachel Wilson. That girl is going to wake up sometime from now and come to the realization that Rachel Wilson had a beautiful life. The most privileged life to stay home and raise kids and be submissive to her husband and all of this. That girl's going to wake up one day and realize that. And it's going to live forever in her brain. Whether or not her ego is going to allow her to come out and admit that she was wrong is going to be a different story. I tell you guys all the time, I screwed up. I didn't buy fully into the lies of feminism, but I got pushed towards college and career and all of these things, and I went along with it because I was like, oh, well, you know, despite the fact that I had a stay-at-home mom, a young stay-at-home mom. My mom started having kids at 20, 22, in her very early 20s, okay? My mom started having kids young. And she lived a beautiful life. And despite seeing that, I allowed myself to get sucked into like the career and all of that when all I really wanted was kids. And to live the life my mom lived. But no, I had to be better. I had to do all of these things. You could settle down and do that later. That's just a selfish attitude. It's nothing more than selfishness. And that is like the key thing of feminism, is it's just selfish. So the boomers are starting to work themselves out of the government and out of life, because they're getting old. But they set things in motion that they knew only benefited them and their generation, but it would come at a cost to future generations. And that mentality got passed directly into feminism. And if we don't start yanking that out, our society's just, I mean, we're already pretty bad. It like OnlyFans is prevalent. Society's cooked right now. But if we don't start rejecting it, rejecting that selfishness, and get the mentality and understanding that doing what's good for society and doing what's good for future generations is vitally important, and just for fellow humans, just for humanity in general. If we don't start to get back to that, then it's all going to burn to the ground. And feminism is carrying the selfish me mentality now. It's like boomers started dropping the torches as they started passing on, and the feminists are like, it's mine, and they're running off. So we need to just reject that. We have to stop being so self-focused all the time. We have to start doing the things that are good for society, good for our fellow man. Because the freedoms these feminists just, and the rights that these feminists love to screech about, they're burning it down for the future. Because if we keep going the way we are, we're not going to have a country. And when you don't have a country that has free speech and all of these things, all your rights and crap are gone. Somebody's going to come in and take them. So let's lose the boomer mentality, everybody. Because they're pretty freaking insufferable anyway, and the feminists are just like amping it to level 8,000, and I can't take it anymore. They're miserable. But to all of you out there who are not selfish, to the boomers who did what my dad did as a boomer and really took to heart making sure that your children and your future generations are going to be cared for and have the best possible outcomes, thank you for that. To any boomer watching this that it offends you because it's the truth, sorry. You're just going to have to deal with that, but I'm sure you'll screech, so it's fine. But we need to start caring about society, because that's actually how America gets back to being the America of old. I hope you all have a great week ahead. And next time you see me, I will have filmed something different, so you won't be just seeing me in this. Have a great one.